trees and trees, shrubs, and creepers. So primarily because I had to take care of the garden, instruct my gardeners, I started dabbling in plants. And it kind of became more of a passion. And I'm a staunch believer that nature is the best healer. So I make it a point to drag my husband along every Sunday to Lal Bagh to see which trees are in bloom. I think it's only because of that that I'm here today to share with you whatever has been my learning. I wouldn't say I'm an expert. So in case there are certain flaws, you feel that certain things are not accurate, please pardon me for that, because I'm not a botanist by profession. As you see, I'm, a hobbyist in botany, and that's what I'm going to share today. Yeah. I'm starting with these two spectacular pictures from the internet. This gives, Bangalore has been called a garden city. The city planners have very carefully landscaped our streets and roads. And so this, is a very, very beautiful site of what is called the Tabubia rosea. And this particular tree is not native to India, but our town planners have tried to add a dash of color to our drab roads. And that's the reason why this is a view of Silk Board, the, ghastly junction. Bangalore is known for its champaka, the sampige, and it's not that there is just one variety. The sampige, you have several varieties, different sizes of them, and each fragrant and unique in its own way. The first one is called a China box. This one, which is bright orangish, is called as a Saundarya. And what you see on the right, one of the most fragrant of champakas is called as a Neelagarika. So you find that there are several.
Please don't take too many things and put outside. Talking to you.
Yeah, I know. You just need these two.
Okay. The jasmine or the malli, as we call it, you have several varieties of them in India. And this is one of the most fragrant flowers that you can see in several of our gardens. The Langland bush or the Kananga kirki is considered to be one of the most fragrant flowers from which is extracted a perfume, an expensive perfume. And you have two varieties of Kanangas, the Kananga odorata and the Kananga kirki. So I'm starting with the fragrant flowers because, I was very inspired by a garden I visited, which had what is called a garden for the blind. And I was very curious when I went in, I found that it had a whole lot of fragrant flowers and people were trying to sharpen their identification by the smell. This flower, which is called the Manoranchitam, when it is not fully in bloom, is green in color. And they say the reason why it is called Manoranjitam, the flower has a very fruity fragrance. And they say whichever is your favorite fragrance, that's what you inhale from it. I don't know how true it is, but I find it one of the most fragrant hedges to grow. This is called as the Spanish cherry or bakul in Indian languages. You find that it's a very fragrant flower that resembles a neem flower. And the more it dries, the more fragrant it becomes. And it took me almost 15 years to realize that the berry of this tree is edible. So we have a whole lot of these grown in avenues, in a whole lot of different institutions, factories, schools, colleges, because it can be beautifully shaped like an umbrella. Gardenias, again, are very, very fragrant flowers that belong to the jasmine family. And look at this, yellow Cape jasmine. It looks like as if it's a natural flower arrangement, the way in which the blooms are visible. So this is again a flower that changes color. It starts with a bloom that is amul butter yellow, and then in about 3 days, it changes color and turns into a beautiful golden yellow. This particular plant that you see on the right, we grow this as hedges. It's a very common Indian plant called the muraya, and very fragrant, attracts a whole lot of butterflies and bees. One thing is, in our busy life, we just hardly ever notice what we pass. So you will find that when this bush is in bloom, it throngs with a lot of life. You find a lot of insects and lot of butterflies that are there. It's another subspecies, not as the flowers are not as profuse as the previous one, which is the paniculata. This is called as an exotica. Like how, you distinguish the different pisas. If you get used to working with plants, you'll be able to, from the leaf and the texture, the color, the fragrance, you'll be able to make out the difference. This particular tree is called as the Kanaka Champaka. It grows in the foothills of Himalayas. The first species that I saw was from Dharamshala. The leaf, entire span of the leaf is about 15 inches. Our leaves are not so huge, but this is how the flowers look. The frangipani, you have several varieties of frangipani in and around Bangalore. In fact, if you go to Lal Bagh, there is one entire section where you will easily be able to see about 20 to 25 varieties of frangipanis. This particular species is called Plumeria alba because the flowers are white. This is the lutea. It grows in, again, like, a bouquet. The flowers are very, very profuse, but it has very, very few leaves. You find that the bunches of flowers are what makes it very attractive, whereas the Plumeria alba, the glossy leaves, are equally attractive as the flowers. This is called as the frangipani pink or Plumeria rubra. And you have shades of red, and it's one of the most beautiful plants that you can see. But unfortunately, this entire species does not attract any butterflies, maybe sometimes spiders and insects we have seen, but it doesn't attract butterflies. And this is a dwarf variety called the Singaporensis. If you go to Lal Bagh, you'll find in spring this beautiful bloom. It's called the Malabar chestnut. The flower is almost 8 to 10 inches big, and it's one of the most beautiful flowers I have ever seen in Lal Bagh. The Amherstia is also called as a lantern flower. This again, we saw it in bloom this spring in Lal Bagh, a very, very beautiful, rare species. Our rain tree, we understand is one of the oldest avenue trees in Bangalore. You find that they are huge and the flowers, resemble powder puff. This is the Albizia semen, or the rain tree, as we call it. In Tamil, we call it the Tungumunji Maram, which means sleepy face. This is again a common tree indigenous to South India, but which had become almost rare. But you know what? I have a personal connect with this tree because I've raised almost a few thousand from seeds in the last 10 years. This is called the Pride of India. It's the state tree of Maharashtra, West Bengal, commonly called the Jarul. You find it in several colors. There are several subspecies. It's also called the crepe myrtle. You find the Lagerstroemia indica, indicating that it is original to the Indian subcontinent. It's a beautiful pink. You have the Lancastri alba, which is the white flower. And this is called as the thorley. The reason why the thorley amazes me is that right from the time that I've seen the first plant, which was about 15 inches, the entire thing was covered with flowers. Today, maybe it is about 10 to 12 feet in height, slow grower, but it's a profuse bloomer, and the leaves are a copper color in the beginning of spring. And this is the time when peak summer, it is in bloom all around India. This particular tree gives its name to the dynasty that ruled from Banavasi, the Kadambas. The Kadamba tree, the flower resembles, the children on our campus call it as the Laddu tree, because the flowers resemble a laddu, and you find that it has a whole lot of butterflies that come to feast on the nectar. It has a reference in all the stories connected with Krishna, because Krishna is supposed to have played as a child under the Kadamba trees. He also had his Raslila around the Kadamba trees. The largest Kadamba that I have seen covers, it's in Madras, it covers a span of about 1 acre. So this is the Kadamba tree. You will find it on the streets of Bangalore. It's a beautiful tree, native to Karnataka. The golden shah, or the Tabubia aurea, you will find our streets are filled with these yellow blooms which come just after the jacaranda at the advent of spring. The entire tree will be covered with those golden flowers, which lasts maybe a week to 10 days, after which, it becomes very straggly. Another of the same family, you can see the flowers, but hardly any leaf. It's called the Donald Smithy. And this is the Avalande, and you have the Rosia, which covers the streets. What is very interesting is when the metro lines were being laid on Bannerghatta Road, the Tabubia Rosia that was outside IIM Bangalore, about 25 of them were root balled and then shifted inside the IIM campus. So it's not that, people are quiet whenever trees are being hacked. People are very conscious that we need to support the Garden City tab. This is, in our playground in school, when the Tabubia Rosia is in bloom, different shades of. Another common flower on the streets of Bangalore is called as the camel's foot, or the Bahunia. You have it in a magenta, a mauve, and white. And again, just look at this one bush, the number of butterflies that we have spotted. For us, it's not merely appreciating the beauty in the flowers. try to work with the children to understand, does it support other life? What are the kind of visitors that we see, the bird life, the butterflies, the insects, and which season? So this is what is called as the blue tiger and the common crow, two species of butterfly feasting on the Bahunia. This is called the Bahunia galpini. It's a shrub, profuse flower, and this is the Candida. So you find that the same plant, several species are available across Bangalore. This is called as the rainbow Shah. You have the Cassia javanica, which transforms one stretch which is near Cubbon Park, the road behind the Vedant Sauda, and there are a few trees even inside Cubbon Park, and Lal Bagh. Profuse flower. It's like the Indian cherry blossom, if you may call it, because the pinks are so attractive, and different shades of pink you will find. This is the paler pink, but equally attractive. And the Cassia fistula, which is a festive flower in Kerala. Kerala New Year is never complete without the Vishu Konnai, or the Sarak Konnai as they call it. Amalthas is the name by which, you know, it is popularly called over the rest of India. A very popular avenue tree, which is normally in bloom between March and July. Depending on the temperature, the flowering pattern varies across India. This is the Palash. Palash again, there's a lot of historical reference to it, and the same Palash tree at different times, we have different birds, the squirrels, everything feasting on the flowers. This again is a beautiful tree in Lal Bagh called Scotia, and the Scotia is in bloom in end of spring, beginning of summer, and there are about 2 or 3 trees which are spectacular, but people hardly notice because it's somewhere in the interiors, not along the walkways. This is called as Militia olefolia, a beautiful mauve color flower that transforms the entire roadside into a purple carpet. And people like Vani Murthy have been composting Militia olefolia and Pungam flowers in the summer months. Again, another showy orange flower called the Cordia subcordata. This, the Maduka longifolia, is a flower that, you know, people use it. It's supposed to be very sweet. So people extract bhang out of it for Holi, they say. So the pods are what people used to use as a conditioner before all our shampoo companies making their own.
About plants, one lady is talking, I'm listening.
The Bombax tree has the most spectacular flower. It's a shocking pink. Lal Bagh has a beautiful stretch of Bombax trees. Since I'm focusing only on flowers, I don't have the tree. The largest trees that you will see in Lal Bagh are the Bombax tree or the silk cotton trees.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
The tree that you showed before,
Yeah.
are those the ones which we use to wash silk saris?
That is soap nut. This, you know, is a green powder that people used to use as a conditioner.
The shikakai, is that what you're talking? No.
Shikakai is no, Rita is different.
Harita.
Rita is
Are
different.
the round one? That's what
And
we use
this is,
sometimes
yeah,
to wash
this
silk
is,
saris, isn't it?
yeah, Rita is what you use for silk sari.
Okay, this is not the one. This is like the
Yeah.
shampoo,
Yeah,
Shikakai.
this is a conditioner, not like shampoo. It will not wash off your oil, but it
Okay,
gives
okay.
you a nice luster and it gives you a nice silky texture.
Okay.
Earlier, you know, we used to, when I was in Chennai where I grew up, when we came to Bangalore, we would take this powder.
Okay, is that the pod you're using, or what is it you're using out of this?
I think they extract it. We don't do anything on
Okay, it's all
commercially.
you get
They
it
must be,
commercially made. Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So this is the silk cotton, which was originally used before our foam and coir mattresses came in, silk cotton. This particular tree is Saraka Asoka, one of the most spectacular trees when you walk down.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Suma, can we keep questions for a little later? It is
Okay.
interrupting the flow of these.
Okay. Sorry. Okay,
thank-
later. Sorry.
This has a story. This actually, this tree you will see if you walk down from the glass house towards the fossilized tree. Saraka Asoka, we've all heard when we listen to Ramayana that Sita was kept a captive in what is called the Asoka Vatika. A lot of times people mistake a tree which they call as the false Asoka to be the Asoka that, sheltered Sita. But this is the Saraka Asoka, native to the Indian subcontinent. It was under these trees that Sita is said to have, stayed waiting Rama's arrival in Sri Lanka. If you look at the flowers, this is called as cauliflora. Again, the same Saraka tree. When you plant it, it's very difficult for you to make out if it's going to be a Saraka, Saraka cauliflora. Cauliflora, the flowers start coming even on the trunk. In fact, when I posted this picture, people asked me, how did you stick these flowers? I said, I have not done anything to stick it there. The flowers grow like bunches of cauliflower on the tree trunk. You find these in Lal Bagh as well, but people hardly ever, unless of course you're a crazy tree buff like me, you don't go there. You have 3 of these trees in Lal Bagh. This is another of the Saraka trees. It's called the Thaipingensis, not very easily available in nurseries. Lal Bagh has 3 of it, and I make it a point every summer for me to go and have a darshan of that. You have something called the sea mango, though, the fruits are very, very, they have a smell which maybe puts off a few people. Not everybody can take it, but it's a very pretty looking flower, profuse flower. Another very showy flower in our Lal Bagh, if you walk down the Japanese garden, is the magnolia. They are not as beautiful as the magnolias as colorful, I should say, as the magnolias you would see in Europe. But these magnolias are huge. These flowers are very pretty, and, it's in one of those walkways from the Japanese garden of Lal Bagh. Another beautiful bunch of flowers called the Brownia grandiceps. The leaves also look beautiful like flowers. You have quite a few of these trees in Lal Bagh, but unless, they see Chandramouli or me standing there and trying to take pictures or trying to see if we spot any birds, people hardly stand and look at these beautiful flowers in Lal Bagh. It's like an ornamental lantern or decoration that people have hung from the tree. Both the leaves and the flowers are beautiful. This, is another spectacular bloom. The different shades, they grow in bunches. It's a tall tree. We have it on campus. It's about 3 years old. It's already about 12 feet. And when it is in bloom, you have bunches of flowers and there's hardly any leaf on it. It's a beautiful tulip-shaped flower. The cannonball, if you go from Hotel Ashok towards Malleshwaram, you'll find the entire stretch on the right has these cannonball flowers. We call it as the Nagalinga in Tamil. I'm not too sure what it is called in Kannada, but the flower looks like as if, it's a snake's hood that is opened out. Very, very heady smell. And the fruit is the shape of a cannon. That's why it's called as a cannonball tree. The Colville's Glory, again, is another spectacular tree. If you see when it is in bloom, you hardly notice the leaves. The flowers are very showy and attractive. There are people who undertake research to see which colored flowers attract what type of birds. There's a book that is published on the red flowering trees of Delhi. So I'm not too sure if Bangalore people have taken these topics for research, but maybe a topic well worth studying. Again, we often mistake the water lily to be a lotus. What you see on the left is a water lily, and what you see on the right is the lotus. Though, the buds look alike, the water lily opens almost all at one go, whereas the lotus is very, very slow in opening up. So you find these are some of the water flowers that you will notice around Bangalore. You see the water lilies in purple, in ivory white. These are common in and around Bangalore. This is called the silver bush. The reason why it's called a silver bush is because of the leaves that look like silver in the sun. But when it is in bloom, the entire base of the bush looks like somebody has spread a pink carpet. This particular flower is called the Chinese hat or the cup and saucer. Looks a lot like the bougainvillea because doesn't have any fragrance, doesn't attract too many insects or butterflies, but stays. The flowers stay for almost 5 months, 4 to 5 months. And they are available in several colors now in our nurseries, like the yellow Chinese hat, but each has a unique characteristic. This particular flower is called the Lady of the Night because it's very fragrant at night. It's also commonly called yesterday, today, tomorrow because the flowers change color. They are in, again, a very light cream. Then it turns into yellow, and the third day it becomes white. The same in purple. It starts off as a bright purple, it becomes mauve, and then fades away as a white flower. A very common flower called the Barleria. You have it in several colors. You can grow it as hedges. Normally in places like Chennai, they would call it as the December flower because this is one flower that blooms profusely in winter. When I say profuse, from maybe 2 to 3 shrubs, bushes, you'll be able to get a small bucket full of flowers. That's the amount of flowers that bloom in a day. This is the Zephyranthus or the rain lily or the thunder lily as people call it. And every time, summer, the rains arrive in Bangalore, you find that these carpets of flowers, you know, appear very showy. This is again from my campus. When children return to school, you find that this is what greets them in June. The Ixora is a very beautiful Indian flower attracting a lot of butterflies. You have them in several colors. You have the red, the white, the orange, the yellow, the pinks. There are dwarf varieties. But for us, because the garden is color coded, I have only orange and red flowers to share. These days, you have a lot of people speaking of what is called the tree of life. In fact, Chandramauli's sister, her business is called the giving tree. So this particular tree is the tree of life, a very, very rare species that you can find in our botanical gardens. It has beautiful purple flowers. The common name is tree of life. Guacum is the botanical name. This is called as the starburst because in winter, this entire shrub bursts into blooms. It's one of the most spectacular bushes you can see in winter. This particular thing is a very common flower grown as hedges in several gardens and factories. But what people may not notice is that a lot of times tiny birds like the tailor bird, the Ashleyiprina, the sunbird, they build their nests in these bushes. In fact, I have a row of these plants in pots because that is where we find our birds are building nests in the breeding season. And it's beautiful that despite the fact that people walk up and down these footpaths, children actually get to see birds nesting. This particular plant again is called the Mickey Mouse. You find it in several cool climate places. The flower again changes color. It blooms as red, then you will start seeing the seeds turning black and the tips of the flower again changing color. At that point of time, the entire flower looks like Mickey Mouse. Because we are in lockdown, I couldn't access all the flowers that I have in my database. I'm sorry, I don't have evidence to show that it looks like Mickey Mouse. This again, Cisalpina polychroma, is a very easy to grow plant hedge, grows very fast. Our medians on the national highway are filled with these flowers. You have them in red, orange, pink, yellow, common colors. The Parijat, we have heard stories that Rukmani and Satyabhama had a quarrel. To whom does the plant belong? In olden days, people used to use these before the sticker bindi arrived. I remember my great-grandmother would make what we would use for our bindi when I was, very young from the flowers. It gives a beautiful natural dye. I have textile design as one of the subjects we teach in school. We use the extract from these flowers for making beautiful burgundy color dyes. This is called as the desert rose, a beautiful plant where, like a bonsai, a 15, 20-year-old plant will be only about 2 feet in height. So it's like a bonsai. You can grow it anywhere, even in your balcony. But because, again, it has a kind of milk extraction, you hardly find any insect life on it. The alamander, you find this is very commonly grown on hedges and as a creeper. We have trained it as a bush. The Taberna montana or Nandiavattai, as people call this particular flower, has a lot of medicinal value. Earlier, when people used to suffer from eye infection, if you're able to actually get this flower and put it on your eye like a cool pack, it used to be a very quick healer. So you have the star-shaped one, and this is the multi-layered one. This is called as the plumbago. Very beautiful, showy blue color flowers. Because we have very rare blue blooms, I had to include this. And you find that what we call the golden duranta also has flowers. If we allow it to thrive, you have the flowering duranta, which attract a whole lot of birds and butterflies. The clerodendron is also a beautiful creeper. It's a vine. The fire bush, the entire bush is covered with orangish red flowers that it looks like as if the plant is ablaze. So several, this is, you know, a flowering duranta. Duranta is grown as hedge in several apartment complexes. They want the leaves, the golden color leaves, to be visible. We allow the wild to thrive, and I've actually seen about 6 to 7 varieties of butterflies thriving on this. This is a host plant for that. The hibiscus rosa sinensis, what a lot of children who study botany are taught to dissect, again, plays host to several species of butterflies. This is only the indigenous varieties that play a host to butterflies. The hybrids are very attractive, very large, but again, do not attract any of our insects. Most flowers grow upward. This particular flower is called the angel's trumpet, and it starts hanging like beautiful lanterns. And you find them in several colors. It is a cousin of the datura, but the datura flower doesn't have a smell. These have a lot of strong fragrances that they emit, but it starts appearing only late at night. During the day, we don't notice any fragrance. This particular bush is called as the shower orchid. When it is in bloom, we don't see any leaves. It's being trained on a pergola. When you actually grow it in a certain shape or a certain way, plants are said to be trained. So we train our plants. This is a trained creeper. Again, this is a climbing oleander. Oleander is a common flower. During this season, the Brahma Kamalam, or the flower of Bethlehem, is a beautiful fragrant bloom that people love to photograph and share posts, because these blooms appear to bloom late in the evening and emit a very, very strong fragrance. White mandevilla flowers. Again, we have this particular creeper, the butterfly pea tree or the Clitoria climber. You find that the white and the blues and purple that you see, they are all climbers. But the one that you see in magenta on the right is a tree that we have. We used to have these flowers in all shades at home in Chennai. So when I told my mom that there is a tree, she refused to believe. She thought I was lying. I had to bring her samples of the flower, which measures almost 4 inches when it is in bloom. So it, a lot of hybridization has happened in Bangalore. These are the garlic vines, the beautiful purple flowers that you see, the very showy Pyrostegia venista grows beautifully on fences. The passion fruit has what is called as passion flower. This is a cousin of that. That is purple in color. And this is, the ornamental variety. Madhumalati, the Hittites, this is again a flower with a very, very heady smell, is a climber. This is called the Hoya. Look at the number of butterflies on just one bunch of flower. It's again the blue tiger butterflies when they are in migration. Belarus, again, it's called the bread flower. I don't know why it's called the bread flower. And we have this purple wreath, which grows both as a shrub and as creepers. And it's a beautiful plant that puts out very showy flowers. This is the white. What you saw earlier was the purple. We've all heard of the night queen, okay, the cestrum. What is interesting is the night queen is Cestrum nocturnum and the day king is Cestrum diurnum. I've shown both flowers here. And, the night queen is very fragrant. I've not seen the day king be very, very fragrant. The Hoya, again, the white variety. This also attracts flowers. Butterflies. What we've tried to do is try to grow vines around, our Kadamba trees, because the trees are trained. So for 6 feet, it appears that only the trunk is visible. So we've grown these climbers that hang like festoons around the tree. So permanently, our garden has ornamentation on plants. This is the Rangoon creeper or the Combretum indicum. These are the single, and what you see in the white, the pink one, it's a rare subspecies. It's a multi-layered one, which I'm on the lookout for. I don't have it. Somebody sent me this asking me to identify the flower. That's how I got the access to that picture. This particular flower, the M has been typed as H. It's called Thunbergia mysorensis. So as the name suggests, very original to our region, to Mysore. You have it in several colors. And for us, these two showy flowers grow together. And I preserved it for the end because it's one of the most spectacular flowers that you can see in winter. The picture in the center is about 1.5 meters long, the entire bush, the entire bunch. It's shaped like the beak of a toucan, okay? And you have it in red and the jade color. In fact, one of the nurseries, he wanted the seeds from me and he said, "Madam, I will give you the red." So I went to see the red and I didn't like it. So I said, "No, I would give you the seeds, but I don't need your red because this is such a beautiful specimen, a species to preserve." Thank you. That's my presentation of flowers. I can take questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sri Vidya. So those who want to ask questions, simply raise your hands and we'll take you one by one. There is one question by Biju, which was asked right in the beginning. Is Manorajita the same as Yalang
No,
Yalang?
it's not. It's not. Manoranjitam grows as a creeper, or you can train it as a hedge. We have trained it as hedges. But the yang grows as a tree. You also have a dwarf variety. The tree that we have is
Okay. So
Channel 5. This is one of the flowers that, is used for creating that perfume.
okay, so there is another question from Suma who asked during the presentation whether something you showed was a December flower. She can ask that again. Mayal
Yeah.
Konai, anybody has seeds of that?
Yeah, we can easily several of them colors on campus. If people need seeds, I can collect. In fact, from 2011 to 2014, we lost about 115 25-year-old trees. We raised 100,000 saplings from seeds on campus. So people in Hosur call us a tree bank, because anybody wants afforestation, they need trees, they can always come and collect.
So when can when can we collect the seeds, like if you're interested?
Have raised.
Ma'am, when can we collect the seeds, like?
For the Mailkonai, the Cisalpina.
Yeah.
Now is the season for the bloom. So I think it should take another 2 to 3 months for seeds to be ripened. Like for instance, cassia, it takes a year for seeds to be formed. So different plants take different, time frame.
Okay. Like this, that Nandi, whatever you were telling.
Looks like she is gone offline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait for her to come back. But one thing for sure, this was a very colorful presentation.
I know, and it was very colorful, and you feel informative too. Yeah.
In fact, this is so essential so that people can really appreciate our city. We have so much of trees and flowers. Nobody really understands what they're looking at.
I know.
So actually, they're missing out on the beauty of the city.
Correct. I mean, that's what I've been telling people. I mean, I'm not a great botanist either, so though she is. The fact is that the learning skills, or rather the observant skills, improve tremendously when you start observing things around you. It may be trees, it may be plants, it may be animals, it may be bees, butterflies, whatever it is. Because that's a skill that you can always prepare, and it's never boring. Okay, people just go and look at it. Oh, what is this? They go to the malls, they go here, there, but unfortunately, they never visit the gardens and find out what our garden is. Bangalore has got tremendous. I mean, I see Biju posting some phenomenal pictures about so many gardens that I haven't heard of. The last 40 years.
In fact, it's difficult to get people into art galleries, but I think to just look at what is on the street or outside your door is easy, but at least you should appreciate it and value it, because
Absolutely.
that is what life is all about.
No.
And even like school trips are all, they take to different places. Never once, like even we never felt like, okay, Bangalore is a host to so many rare species, and school trips should be made. They take the children to Lal Bagh when they are in 2nd or 3rd standard, when children really don't understand. I think the high school children or the college.
Yeah, it must be from the root level. That means from the children should understand, get molds. Now you see, there's a Bangalore walk. For example, the Bangalore walk in Lal Bagh, 80% is about plants and flowers. The history is okay. History is about 10%, fine. But the amount of knowledge this Mr. Vijay Tiruvadi, has, plants, is
You should take us on a nature walk in Lal Bagh. You seem to be so passionate about the place.
Yeah.
I know Cubbon Park. In fact, one of the flowers is called the Rose of Venezuela. It's a very beautiful flower. You have only given the scientific name. You should take us for a nature walk in Lal Bagh.
Definitely. That's what I think I've been missing with this lockdown, because I take my kids on a nature walk in school every day of the week.
No, we will be your kids. We will be your kids. You tell us the day and date will come.
Well said, Biju. Well said.
Dancing and all that there. Yeah, absolutely.
Sunday.
Yeah, when I googled Yellang, it looks very much like Manoranjita. So I'm a little confused.
No, Manoranjitam, because I have both on campus. Manoranjitam, the flowers are much thicker. The petals are very thick. And they are stubby.
Okay.
But if you look at the Kananga, the petals are almost, drooping.
Kananga is Yellang, is it?
Which one?
You said Kananga, which is that flower?
Yeah.
That is Yelang Yelang.
Yeah.
Okay. And you just explain.
You find that the petals are almost about 3 to 4 inches.
Oh, it's that long. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas the Manoranjitam, the entire flower itself will be only about an inch.
Yes, that's the one in Cubbon Park then. I'm confused. So Manoranjita is not Yelang Yelang. Okay.
Yeah, you have Yelang Yelang in Lalbagh.
Oh, I see. Okay. I've seen the longer ones. The one we have in Cubbon Park is the shorter one. So that is Manoranjita.
When Chandru was talking about the school, I was just thinking about my school. We all teach the kids about what a World Environment Day. We have to plant a tree. But what happens is we do it only for one day. But actually, children have a lot to learn. For example, me itself, we know only few flowers. That too, what on festival days, occasion days, we try only those. What is sold, we know. But I was just saying it's such a wonderful knowledge, and kids should be taught about this. I was just thinking, when should I meet her and when I should call her to the school?
You know what? I say earlier, I used to tell people I don't need a botany lab because my 10 acres is the botany lab. So children are taught plant classification only in the garden. And I have people who are crazy about flowers who call it Hosur's Botanical Garden.
I was really praising Biju. She very nicely told me, please treat us as children and take us.
I know.
Good words.
Definitely, it would be my pleasure to take you around because there's so much children can learn from nature. I hope that, the pandemic, a lot of times you hear people commenting how we have not respected nature, which is why we are where we are. I hope that the children, the next generation will have a better world because they are more aware about the environment.
Hope we teach them that. And like you, we must have many more people like you who will give the importance of this. We are just hear it and we are just leaving it out. Really, it's very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. Thanks, Abhinash.
Yeah, thanks, Abhinash.
Abhinash.
Thank you very much, and Mauli, to make this happen. It was a very unusually different session. We have never seen so many flowers in one go and with such a clear explanation of what they all do. Okay, so thank you once again, and folks, tune in again regularly on